My name is Melanie Santos. I'll be your moderator this evening. I'll tell you a little bit about myself in just a second, but I want us all to just take a seat. Just plant our feet on the floor if we can, hands facing down, and we're just going to get grounded for a second. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. I just want us all to take this second to just be really present and in the moment, to really intake the information that's going to be presented today by our wonderful panelists and by myself as well. I want to thank everybody who's tuning in from YouTube, from Facebook, and from Twitch. You guys could be anywhere on the internet, but you're here with us right now. My name is Melanie Santos. I am a New York City-based wellness leader. I am so excited to be connecting with you from the East Coast. I'm a wellness leader, speaker, digital creator, and my work is really deeply rooted in creating safe spaces to vulnerably discuss the real behind mental health, physical health, and spirituality. The topic of generational trauma is very special and very important to me for many reasons. One, because I am a woman of this generation. Two, because I am a Latina, a daughter of immigrants. I am a New Yorker, which also plays a part, and I'm a mother now. I'm a toddler mom. So this conversation is really special. I'm really excited to be here, really honored. I want to pass it over to, before I pass it over, I also have to thank We Rise and the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health for hosting us tonight. This wonderful event was supposed to be in person, but because of everything that's going on, magic had to happen, and we're all connected. I'm sure that there are people watching all over the world, which is even better if you think about it that way. So thank you for connecting us all here tonight. Now I want to pass over the virtual mic to our panelists. I want to allow them to introduce themselves. If you could all just please share your name, your preferred pronouns, and tell us a little bit about what you do. Gloria, you want to start?
Sure. I'm Gloria Lucas, and my pronouns are she and her. I am the founder of Nalgona Positivity Pride, and I help Black, Indigenous people of color affected by eating disorders, as well as professionals, learn the link between historical trauma and eating disorders.
Devi?
Hi, thank you so much, Melanie. My name is Devi Brown. I'm the founder of Karma Bliss. I'm also an author, energy healer, and wellness educator. And the space that I feel so grateful to occupy is a space where I support women of color, specifically African-American women, in creating supportive environments to really put down all of the walls of resilience and spiritual bypass that we've accumulated through our experiences in general trauma. So we do workshops, we do experiential events, and just really create safe space for one another to grow and to heal and to transform.
Thank you so much. Dr. Rosales Meza.
Yes, I am Dr. Rocio Rosales Meza. I am an intuitive healer, an energy worker, and have a PhD in counseling psychology. I was a former psych professor, but now I work with Black Indigenous women of color to heal from colonial trauma so that they can reclaim their power, their intuition. So really working with them as whole beings, not just focusing on mental health. It starts there, I believe, but also getting them back to being whole beings, their body, their mind, their spirit, their energy. And it's so important for me to do that, to walk that way with women so that they're no longer in servitude to the colonial capitalist patriarchy. So it's really about collective healing and collective liberation.
Thank you so much. I just want to check that you guys can hear me. I had to switch headphones. You know how this life thing goes? Before I turn it over to all of you, I want to turn it back to Dr. Rosales Meza, who is our clinical expert on the panel. Can you just define what generational trauma means for those audience members who may have never heard of it before?
Yeah. So I first want to take a step back and define trauma. So I think there's sometimes a misunderstanding that trauma is only physical. And I want folks watching to understand that it can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be spiritual, right? It doesn't just have to be a physical threat. And I also want folks watching to understand that it's not a weakness, right? When you experience trauma, it's not a weakness. It's your body's way of protecting itself. And so this is a trauma response then, is ways that your body has adapted, your mind has adapted to being threatened, right? To experiencing an event or having an experience that they felt, your body or your mind felt that it was, there wasn't safety there, right? And so what happens is that trauma gets, we experience it in our mind, in our body, in our spirit. And the way that then you can think about intergenerational trauma is that this is sort of some people call it like an unexpected family inheritance. You know, it's the ways in which maybe trauma was originally experienced by the family, right, that then gets passed down to the next generation. And so I even want to take it beyond the family and looking at it from a perspective of what our ancestors experienced, right? And so colonialism, right, if we look at the violence of being colonized peoples, of slavery, of capitalist trauma, right? These are all ways that we have experienced collective trauma and that this gets passed down from generation to generation. And so breaking it down a little bit more, some folks may think, maybe, why is it that I'm having such a strong reaction, right, to maybe something that I myself didn't experience? So it makes sense that our ancestors, right, suffered at the hands of the colonizer or slavery, right? Or maybe that 2 generations ago, you had an alcoholic grandfather, right? And so there was that abuse in the family. And so 2 generations later, you are still experiencing some of those symptoms, the grief maybe, the fear, the anxiety, right? The hopelessness, right? And so some people may not understand that even you didn't have to witness it firsthand for you to be impacted by it. And that actually with each generation that it's not addressed, it becomes amplified, And so sometimes in our families, those of us that may, our families now maybe don't have an understanding of how this works, may not understand or may even label people as having, like you're having an extreme response. You're blowing this out of proportion. I don't know why you are depressed and you can't even get up. I don't know why you're so fearful, right? When I had it harder than you, right? Or I don't know where this sense of hopelessness comes from, right? And that's how intergenerational trauma works. You cannot sometimes pinpoint the origin, but it's because it's been passed down from generation to generation.
Thank you so much for breaking that down. Can you guys hear me well? Okay. I'm nodding my head because I resonate with that so very deeply as someone who has struggled with clinical depression and generalized anxiety disorder for so many years. I blamed my family, shout out to my mom and dad who are watching right now, for many, many years, being a teenager and having outbursts myself and not feeling like I was understood. And it took years for me to realize that it wasn't their fault. this is mental programming that's been ingrained in us for centuries and centuries. With that said, I'm excited to turn it over to each panelist so that you guys can kind of give us an idea of how generational trauma has shown up for you personally, and how does it play a part in your work, in your mental health work. Devi, you want to go first?
Yeah. First, I have to say, Dr. Rosales, that was one of the most exquisite breakdowns of generational trauma, and I just really thank you for that. That was so beautiful. You know, I think the way that I first began to realize this thing that I didn't even know how to name, such as generational trauma, was when I was younger, and you just noticed that there were things unsettling about your family. There were ways that your parents were parenting you, and you knew that there was this pain behind it, and there were these family secrets or these unspoken pain. You know, specifically in the community that I come from and the family that I came from, there was never talking about the things that happened to you, but then you felt the residual effects of them. So as a kid, that was kind of my first understanding of what is that deeper layer there? You know, when you don't quite have the words to understand your feelings or your experiences. And generational trauma has just become mainstream in the last few years as a word. And so it was more of this unspoken experience where you didn't understand why life felt so hard, or why there was this experience with your family of color that was not how families were portrayed on television. There was this almost barrier to intimacy, this barrier to depth of love and understanding that you couldn't process. And so it just led you to feel, one, different, two, somehow unlovable or unworthy. You know, and I think that a lot of Black and brown communities, the experiences of slavery, of systemic racism, of colonization, of CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, where you are constantly triggered every day by new experiences. You know, when you're having your life feel like that, and it's in direct contrast to the way the American ideal of what family is supposed to look and feel like, what a good life is supposed to look and feel like, you begin internalizing that and believing that something is wrong with you, or that you're somehow less than, somehow not measuring up, and you can't put your finger on it. So that's when I first started to explore what generational trauma felt like for me and how it affected my life. And it took me years to unpack. You know, right now, a lot of this information is kind of readily available, but we're the first generation to have voices. We're the first generation to, in a mainstream way and on a mass level, unpack and create a freedom of self and extend that freedom to the generations that come from us. So my first experience of generational trauma was just not understanding why I didn't feel like I was enough.
Gloria, you want to go next?
Yeah, and kind of, you know, agreeing with what Debbie said, nobody sat us down in our family and explained to us historical trauma, but yet we had all the signs of it. You know, this is not always common knowledge. More than often, it's not, you know, and for the past 60 years, I have been teaching historical trauma or intergenerational trauma, and I'm very familiar now with the face of the audience of when it all clicks in, you know, and these are not concepts that are hard to convince for people. Like they usually automatically understand. For myself, historical and intergenerational.
Is Gloria frozen for everyone?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to her in a second. Dr. Rosales Meza, do you want to add?
Yeah, I just resonate with so much of what has been shared as well. I think that for me, like Devi, it showed up as feeling unworthy. So I am Mexicana, Chicana. I'm a daughter of immigrants. I am a daughter of parents and grandparents that grew up in poverty. And I think it wasn't until, as a psychology major in college, that I began to realize, you know, I began to understand when they talk about anxiety, for example, that there is a reason why my family was anxious, because they were in constant threat of, like, I don't have enough. I don't have enough food. I'm not sure if we're going to make it the next day. Going back generations before that, having our ancestors colonized, and so I don't know whether I'm going to live or not, right? So all of that helped me to understand myself, my family, and to have compassion. And I think it started there. But I didn't realize until later on in life. And when I started to, when I was in academia, and I was actually pushed out of academia, I began to realize that the reason why I had such a hard time with showing up was because at the core, I felt unworthy. And when I first woke up to that, it was sort of like, it was mind-blowing. And it didn't make sense to me, because how can I achieve, how can I get a PhD and have high self-esteem, but at the core feel unworthy? That doesn't make sense to me. Like, that's not what we're taught, right? That's not what we see on TV. Those are not what the self-esteem books tell us, right? But when we begin to dig deeper, and especially as Black, Indigenous people of color, knowing that colonization, slavery, racism, these do things to our body, to our psyche, right? And it's going to, again, we're going to internalize it, meaning that we're going to blame ourselves, right? We don't understand, we're not taught to look at the systems. How do these things, institutions, impact us? We're taught to look at ourselves, right? And especially in America, right? What is sold to us in terms of success, the American dream, is if we don't achieve, and we don't achieve success, if we're not happy, it's our fault, right? And so we begin to, again, blame ourselves, right? And so for me, it's really waking up to that. Where did that unworthiness come from, right? How did I learn that? How did my mother learn that? How did my grandmother learn that? And where did that come from?
Thank you, Dr. Rosales Meza. Gloria was able to log back on, so we'll give her a chance to add to this.
I'm back. So answering your question, the way intergenerational and historical trauma presented itself to me was through many ways, but the main way was the development of an eating disorder. And we all know that the portrayal of eating disorders is that it happens to people that don't look like me and don't have my background. However, I am the daughter of an immigrant mother, and my mother faced high levels of food insecurity. And, she tells me how she would pick up chewed up gum from the floor and orange peelings, and this was her food. And, throughout her life, she also dieted and struggled with what I sincerely believe is disordered eating. And so what we know about food insecurity, dieting, food restriction, and hunger is that they trigger this obsessive behavior around food, depression, anxiety, and, trigger then the starvation cycle, and then the development of disordered eating or eating disorders. And so what we know about eating disorders is that if you have someone in your family that has one, you are 7 to 12 times more likely to develop one. Not to mention, me being of Mexican indigenous descent, the stories that are not there, that are my ancestors facing food scarcity due to colonization, due to the forced relocations and so forth. And so that is how colonialism and historical trauma have all impacted me today.
Gloria, if you could toggle your camera. I think we lost your video, but I hope we all heard the amazing things that she just shared about how intergenerational trauma showed up as eating disorders for her. Thank you all for sharing your pieces.
Melanie, I wanted to add something too, and I think this is common for a lot of us, is that it also shows up in our physical body and our inability to rest, right? And
So
and
big.
for me, yes, for me, it showed up as I exploited my body. I abused my body to get a PhD, right? And I learned that strong work ethic from my mother and my father being immigrants who were also exploited by American capitalism, right? And I think that's important to name because we often, we view immigrants as hardworking and then that's good, right? And as if that's a strength. And part of it is a strength, but it also has an impact on the next generation after, right? And so that what our parents as that are immigrants go through to push their bodies for production then shows up in the next generation. And again, if we think about the ancestors before us that were colonized, that were enslaved, right? All of that shows up in our physical bodies. And so for me, it showed up as severe migraines. And I didn't allow myself to rest because I thought, how dare I rest when my mother had it harder than me? I was raised by a single mom, right? My parents are immigrants. Like, how dare I, who had it easier, quote unquote easier, right? I can't rest. I have to push through, right? And especially for Black, Indigenous women of color, that pushing through, right, that not resting shows up so much. And then that begins to show up as physically, right? We have physical ailments or spiritually, like we're spiritually tired, right? Intergenerational trauma is not just, trauma, physical, it's also a soul wound that we're carrying.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rosales Meza, for sharing that. I resonate with so much of that. I'm writing things down just so that I remember because there's so many gems being dropped. Now that we're almost at the middle of this, I want to remind everybody who's watching that you can chat, and you see the live chat feature on the bottom. We're going to try to answer questions at the end. But so many things that you said, all of you said, resonated with me personally. I feel like it's true for all of us that our personal experiences with mental health, with intergenerational trauma have powered our work. For me personally, it's made me, what powers my work is really wanting to be who I needed when I was younger. That woman that said, hey, you're not weak for this, and you're not wrong, and you're not unworthy. But just like you said, doctor, I do sort of abuse my being most of the time. As I think, yes, it's especially true of immigrants, but if we look at the grander picture, I think it's true of everyone that we know how to do, but we don't really know how to be. Which is why I started off the live stream with a deep breath and just like the intention to be present. I thank you for touching also on the mind, body, soul connection, and just like, yes, we're talking about intergenerational trauma, but we have to realize that it does show up in our mental health, and whatever afflicts our mental health also shows up in our physical health. I want everybody who's watching today to think about the physical health problems that you're going through, and think about how it may connect with your mental health. Jumping around, if you can hear Gloria, can we get some happy faces in the chat? Because her video is not connecting, but I hope that we can at least hear her. I want to move on to, you guys have already touched on challenges, but I want us to really highlight some of the challenges faced on the journey towards self-discovery and really tackling the effects of generational trauma on our mental health. Devi, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'd love to. I think a thing that we as people of color have taken on really by no choice of our own is this believed path of servitude. This idea that love, that happiness has to be earned. This idea that our worth is found in our resilience. I had a really big breakthrough, and I've been on my road of my journey, and I've been in this wellness space for many, many years, doing, the work and always kind of excavating and searching and seeking. But I had a really big breakthrough 2 years ago where I realized that one, and I know really women can identify with this, so much of my worth was wrapped up in my productivity, but two, my worth was really, and I hadn't realized this ever, wrapped up in how much pain I could tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
Starting to think I was worthy by how much pain I could take on and transcend. And when I had that piece of the puzzle, so much clicked and freed me. And I really realized, I'm a big believer that part of the way to heal yourself is by really fighting your belief system, fighting with logic, doing a lot of unlearning, doing a lot of questioning, being deeply curious, not just about yourself, but even about the history of the United States. You know, as Black and brown people, we are denied our pain. And so generationally, what that's caused over hundreds, over thousands of years, by being oppressed and then being denied the opportunity to feel, that's really created in us this high level of spiritual bypass at all times. So even for our parents, even when we have criticisms for our older generations who just didn't have access to tools, who didn't grow up in an environment that cared what they went through or what they survived, they were still being used. You know, when we look at them, you know, it's really about understanding that they wanted to feel just as much as we did. You know, they wanted to be able to be supported and loved and seen as enough and seen as worthy and protected just as much as we all do. But they were forced into the shell and into the bubble of perceived resilience simply because there was no other option. No one listened to women. No one listened to someone who was Black or brown and beaten in the streets or murdered or, you know, oppressed in all of the multitude of ways that we have been oppressed throughout centuries. And so, you know, when I looked at that, it really, one, gave me the strength to really commit to this path for myself and for my child. I have a 2-year-old, and for anyone that's ever, you know, in a space with me to be able to be freed with that. But the biggest, I think the most important part of the work that I do was really diving in and understanding what generational trauma is and how many layers of not just our lives, but the fibers of our DNA that it affects.
Desi, snaps. So many snaps for you. I deeply resonate with so much of what you said. And before I turn it over, I just want to highlight one of the things you said that I try to ingrain in everything that I teach, is that struggle does not equal worthiness, and hard work and joy can coexist. And I say that from a place of like, yes, I'm 30 years old, but my soul is old. And I somehow knew this from a very young age, you know, going through my own breakthroughs, that hard work and joy can coexist. And people used to look at me like I was crazy. But now that these conversations are going mainstream, it's just so enlightening to see how many people are turning their lives around because they're realizing this for themselves. Can we hear and see Gloria, guys?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Gloria, you want to go ahead?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
For me, it's accepting how healing, particularly with mental health, can be very gradual, and accepting the concept of duality. I feel that Western ways teach us this very linear before and after idea of what health looks like, or to be either 100% here or 100% there. But historical and intergenerational trauma are complex, and so is the healing, right? So it's a slow untangling and then slowly putting things back together and adding new things back together. And so for me, accepting the concept of duality, right, that, you know, I could be a mess. I could struggle with an eating disorder. I might have days with depression. And at the same time, I can be doing amazing and doing healing in other areas in my life. And so I can live simultaneously in these two worlds, and, you know, of what is healed and not healed, and still be worthy of doing this line of work.
Again, so many snaps. I could take up this whole time just like sharing my stories and how I deeply resonate with the things that you guys are saying. Dr. Rosales Meza?
Yeah, what's really calling up for me right now is for folks watching. I have some of my family members watching, and this is probably the first time that they're, maybe it's beginning to click because they're hearing, Devi's experience, Gloria's experience, Melanie, your experience. And one of the things that I want to share with you all watching is that the reason we are collectively waking up to this and having these conversations is because we are being called to heal from these wounds, right? So anytime you feel that maybe immense fear that you can't explain, that anxiety, that sense of hopelessness, that sadness that you don't, you can't find an origin for, I don't know why I'm having such a hard time. I want you to know that that is a sign that is calling you to heal, right? And that we carry intergenerational trauma, but we carry the trauma because we are descendants of survivors, right? And so I want to call up on that energy too, that our ancestors, our parents, our, family members, they carry resilience as well. And so for those people watching, maybe this conversation, you're waking up to the ways that maybe you do have these signs, right? But I also want you to recognize that you have abilities to cope. And there are, ways that you can reach out. And even in this conversation, there is healing. Because maybe for the first time, you are waking up to it and you realize, oh, what Devi shared, right? What Melanie shared, what Gloria shared, I experienced that too, right? And it's not just me, and there's not something wrong with me. And so I just want to call upon that energy of healing and resilience for those that are watching.
I think with that, I want to segue into the next question, because I think it's super important, and I think it would be addressing the elephant in the room. We can't talk about generational trauma without acknowledging where we are right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and we're collectively experiencing trauma via, this global phenomenon. Some of us are the first in our generation to tackle trauma, period. So how can we give ourselves grace through the process while remaining consciously rooted in our response to trauma so that it doesn't manifest as mental health issues down the line? Anybody want to tackle that first? Anybody? Go ahead.
Wait, okay. I was like, well, excuse me, the way that I've been really utilizing it in my personal life is through high amount of spiritual education. That's what's really freed me. For me, looking at things logically and unpacking and saying, oh, I understand. I feel this way not because I'm not enough, but because there's such a thing as slavery. There's such a thing as racial, segregation. There's such a thing as systemic racism and mass incarceration. And when I started to understand why, specifically in my community, families were so broken and how it had nothing to do with personal worth or had nothing to do with someone's connectedness to God or not, that freed me up a lot. But rituals are extremely important to me. And in a lot of the work that I do with women, it's really about building nourishing practices that support and nourish your soul and touch on all the 4 pillars of wholeness, which is mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual, and really standing in the connectedness of all of those 4 things and nourishing yourself in those ways to build and really enhance that sense of worthiness, that sense of self-love, that sense of personal commitment without betraying yourself, And I think understanding even what self-betrayal is and how that really knocks down our intuition and knocks down our connectedness, knocks down our inner resilience and our inner love and kindness and, our energy. And so I'm huge on rituals. I think it's so important for people to build daily practices. And, for some people, we call it daily spiritual practice. That's what I refer to it as. For other people, it can just be your daily practice to enhance your happiness, to enhance your joy. Seeking joy has really tremendously helped me heal the effects of generational trauma in my life and in my family's life. And by joy, I don't just mean like exuberant happiness all the time, right? Because life is challenging, life is difficult. We turn on the news every day and see something utterly horrifying happening to people that look like us. And recognizing those two spaces is really one of the biggest fights of our life spiritually, to be able to be present and be in the midst of unbearable compassion for other people. But I think, you know, when you are looking for joy in the small moments, when you are cultivating gratitude in the perceived small moments, everything doesn't have to be grand to radically transform your life or transform the way that you feel about yourself. So for me, joy has played a massive part in that. Connecting with nature, you know, things that we were really ripped away from. There are a lot of the small joys and beauties of day-to-day life that people that look like us have been ripped away from because we have been forced to survive only, to work only, to deny ourselves constantly, denying ourselves of experience, denying ourselves of emotion. So I really try to actively seek out the reversal and the opposites of all the ways that my ancestors had to experience themselves and experience life. And for me, it's been radically transformative. And that is my deepest desire, is to instill those things and that sense of wholeness in my son to be passed on and heal our lineage.
Thank you so much. Again, super resonate with everything that you said. One of the things, again, that I try to ingrain in my teachings is finding joy and building practices and rituals around that. I call it finding your thing. Like it is radical self-love. When you love yourself so much that you do what brings you joy regardless. Gloria, we've gotten confirmation that we can hear you. We just can't see you. So you want to go ahead and add to this as well?
Yeah, I mean, speaking with current times, when this all went down, I think that a lot of us who come from these lineages might have felt this internal deep memory that we couldn't pinpoint, something we probably hasn't been shifted inside of us before. And that is because some of our ancestors survived biological warfare. And so they survived because they depended on community. And that is how they were able to push forward, and here we are. So we must not forget that they left us this resiliency and the tools to get by. It might not be perfect, it might not be what we want, but nonetheless, we're getting by through these difficult times and still finding time to laugh, right? And doing so gracefully.
Yes, that moment of deja vu of like, oh my God, this moment of survival feels so like I know it. I've been here before. So true for so many of us, and I think it has definitely brought up the call for like depending on community and leaning into joy, but also finding joy in the struggle, resonating with people maybe for the bad moments as well. And there's nothing wrong with building community around that. Dr. Rosales Meza?
Yeah, I think for me, I always think of coping as what can I do individually, but then also what can I do collectively. So individually, I think one of the important things for folks in this global crisis is to have compassion for yourself and to realize that you are doing the best that you can, right, in unbelievable circumstances, right, in the face of unbelievable fear, right? And so just having compassion for yourself and also allowing for moments of having those emotions, right? Observing when the fear comes up, observing when the anxiety comes up, and allowing yourself to feel it. Because when we don't feel it, then it gets stuck in our body. Then it gets stuck in our energetic field, right? And then that's when we pass it on to the next generation, or then it becomes illness in our own body, right? So really allowing yourself to feel it. If you feel so overwhelmed that you want to cry it out, right? Or if you feel so scared and you don't know what to do, right? Get in your body and dance, or like Devi said, go into nature, right? Connect to your breath, you know, have some movement in your body. So really, I think a key component is to observing when those emotions come up and having compassion for yourself. And I think collectively, it's reaching out to each other. So we may be practicing physical distance, but have conversations like this with your family, with your friends. There's still ways that we can connect. And I so believe from a spiritual perspective that this is one of the reasons we were given the internet, because our spirit knew that there would be a time like this, right? Where we would be physically, not be able to connect, but we would still have a portal like this, right? And so then that brings me to the spiritual aspect of everything that is happening. To know that there is a higher purpose, right? And so when I say that, it doesn't take away from the injustice that is happening, because it's also important to name the injustice that this the colonial capitalist empire, right, is crumbling, but it is also causing more violence to our Black and Brown communities, right? And they are the ones that are being the most negatively impacted. So that's important. And I think from a spiritual perspective, that is becoming visible so that we can heal those systems, right? Maybe before this pandemic, there were people that didn't understand or didn't see the injustice, and now it's so visible you can't deny it, right? And so it's important to attend to that violence, right, to the social injustice, but also from a spiritual perspective to acknowledge that this is an awakening, right? We are being called to heal collectively from colonial patriarchy wounds. So this is an opportunity for us to ascend, to elevate in consciousness, to heal, and to leave sort of behind these toxic patterns that were placed on us by the colonial capitalist patriarchy. So it's really an opportunity, if we come together and we do it right, to heal as a collective.
Can you guys highlight what is the most important thing to keep in mind when having difficult conversations, especially as it pertains to undoing mental patterns of trauma so that we can really heal our mental health disorders? Who wants to go first? Gloria, I kind of want to give the mic to you because you were gone for so long.
I know, before I leave again. So for me, I mean, my experience has been that it takes some time for these conversations for people to personalize them. I know that that happened to me as well. So, and I feel that this happens for two reasons. One, for marginalized people, nothing's really ever created for us. So we never get a chance to contextualize, these concepts. And then two, it's a form of protection. Right? Because it feels like a heavy load to carry once you gain this knowledge. So for me, it's important to be gentle and to let people know that it's layers of unpacking and unlearning. And it's like an onion, all those layers that you have to remove to get to the core, and you're crying throughout the whole time, So, and I also remind people that this work is hard, but there's also a lot of joy, and there's, you could create medicine out of your struggle, right? Which is essentially what's been the force behind Nalgona Positivity Pride. And lastly, I focus a lot on harm reduction. I know the main goal should be to abstain from these risky behaviors, but the reality is that a lot of people are in it due to the lack of resources, due to whatever's going on. And so harm reduction is really looking at practical strategies of aiming at reducing further harm in your body, right? So for folks that are in it, right, looking for ways to do radical self-care, and also find ways to prevent further harm. And I think this is a very compassionate model that's not discussed, because again, people are not comfortable speaking about the in-between, right? Being in between these two things, or while you're in it. But this is a way that we can take care of one another and take care of oneself when you're struggling with mental health or another type of struggle.
Thank you so much. I love that you said the phrase creating medicine out of your struggle, because we spoke about struggle earlier as not being necessary on your journey. But if it does exist, which for many of us it does, creating medicine out of it and finding beauty in the fact that you're so powerful, that you're powerful enough to deal with whatever you're dealing with. Devi, you want to take it away?
You know, I would say the thing that really, because as we've all come to know, the journey, though it looks like butterflies and puppies and all things namaste, it is so gritty and filthy and terrifying. You know, when you really get the opportunity to look at yourself, it can really scare you at first. And I think that's what's been probably most difficult for people in the midst of this pandemic. It's meeting themselves for the first time. It's having to spend time with themselves without distraction, without stimulating yourself, you know? And it feels terrifying, but only really because it's new. We're all, human nature is we're scared of being a novice at something, because to survive, we had to develop predictive behavior. So we've always been able to map out our outcomes and map out our strategies. And the spiritual journey isn't like that. And so that's why sometimes it feels so tight in your chest and so difficult and so scary to attempt it. But it's really just biology. So I think it's so important for us to really gut check with our emotions and give our emotions names. When something comes up, when you're feeling a tightness, investigate it, investigate yourself. That really freed me. Just the concept of self-inquiry, asking myself questions about myself, asking myself questions about my feelings, and then digging a little deeper. Once I came up with an answer, I'd say, is that true? And then I'd try to go farther. And before I know it, I'm at age 3 and I'm like, oh, this is when I started feeling this way. But I think, you know, when we're on this journey, one of the biggest things that has helped me, and I hope frees other people, is being able to experience yourself without judgment. It's really easy to learn that everything has to have an opinion, that everything has to have a judgment, that there is something wrong with you if you are not projecting yourself in a certain way that is received well by others. But when you're able to look at yourself and hold space for yourself and feel your feelings without making them mean anything about you, or experience other people, sometimes our challenging experiences with our family, and how they feel or how they're treating you doesn't have to mean something about you at your core. Mm-hmm. You know, there was like a meme on Instagram so long ago, I'm sure everyone's seen it, but I thought it was so funny. It said, I'm in therapy for all the people in my family. You know, and that's kind of like what this spiritual journey is. Like, I'm really seeking myself and seeking to love myself because of all the people I come in contact with that just aren't there yet. And being able to not let them define how the quality of my life will feel. I think also it's important to look at life really as a school and as a space of what is my spiritual curriculum? You know, really investigating and asking those questions of what am I here to learn? What am I here to be shown? And then accepting that other people may be on their own journey and it doesn't have to influence the way you experience yours.
Thank you so much. I want to highlight some of the things you said that resonated with me, and just because I feel like I should pull them out as gems, is acknowledgement. You know, that is where we have to be in order to start the healing, in order to start, you know, the work. Acknowledging that this journey is never ending, acknowledging that my journey is not going to look like yours. It may feel similar, but it's not going to look like anybody else's. Acknowledging that it's okay to honor my relationship with myself, because it's really the most important relationship that we're ever going to be in. You know, I'm a married woman. My husband's right next to me, but sorry, boo. My relationship with me is the most important relationship that I'm ever going to be in, because if I'm not in a good enough relationship with myself, I'm never going to be in a good enough relationship with anybody else. And that starts with honoring yourself, honoring your mental health, practicing, you know, things that may not seem natural to your family. Like for me, that was therapy. You know, having that difficult conversation with my mom and saying, Mom, I know what you think about therapy, but can you help me find a therapist? And I tell that story all the time because it's so unheard of, especially in communities of color. But really, in all communities, because mental health is so stigmatized, which is why I'm so excited that this conversation has gone this far during Mental Health Awareness Month. Before I turn it over to Dr. Rosales to give her piece, I want to remind everybody who's watching, we have a few minutes left. If you have any questions, we are going to have a few minutes for Q&A. So please type in your questions in the chats where you're stationed, and we're going to get to answer a few questions at the end. Dr. Rosales? I think you're on mute. I think you're still on mute. There we go.
There, yay. There's a couple things that are coming that I feel called to share. And one is for folks to begin to give themselves the dignity of being human. And that directly connects to intergenerational trauma, because those before us, especially among Black, Indigenous people of color, were not allowed to be human. We're not given that dignity, right? Of resting, of laughing, of experiencing joy, of experiencing pleasure, right? And so it's a radical act to allow yourself to be fully human. And that includes having your flaws, right? And that your journey is not always going to be quote unquote perfect, and that it doesn't have to look a certain way for healing to be happening. And that actually it's the messiness, right? The uncomfortableness, the painfulness, right? That's going to get you to healing. Right. And I so agree with Devi, what you shared. I think we talk about healing as like it being beautiful and magical. And like that's honestly, that's capitalism, right? That portrays it that way. But healing is hard, right? Healing hurts. Healing is facing our shadow, right? And in that, I think, is that medicine that Gloria talked about. In that is the alchemy, right? That newness, that beingness that begins to be formed. And so allowing yourself to be human and seeing your life as a journey, right? One thing that I see in the women of color that I work with is that then they begin to feel like they have to do healing perfectly. Like, I didn't do this perfectly, but now I'm going to do my healing perfectly. And I'm going to get to the healing really quickly, right? Because I want to be there, right? And so often that sort of backfires, right? That becomes a block. So just really slowing down and allowing the healing to happen, whatever that looks like for you, beginning to be in touch with all of what we've called up today, right? Beginning to sort of maybe even reflect and journal about what has come up for you, for those that are watching, and then allowing it to be slow and allowing it to just look a different way for you.
Thank you for saying what's been called up today, because us even having this conversation, and if you're sitting in front of your screen watching us, this is a spiritual, aligned moment in itself. And just us having this conversation and you even resonating with some of the things that we're saying is going to call things up for your own healing as well. So don't be surprised about that. And if it does, make sure that you hit us on Instagram to let us know and to ask any further questions. We do have a few minutes, about like 4 or 5 minutes for Q&A. So let's see what you guys asked out in the audience. And while we're waiting, thank you, ladies, so incredibly much. I'm here as a moderator, but I'm also here as Devi said, as a student of life, and I'm just so enamored by everything that you guys said. I think it's going to deeply resonate with everybody who's out in the audience, listening to this from the comfort of their homes, hopefully. And I hope it does prompt healing in many, many people. Okay, we have a question from the audience. So in love, I believe that says, so in love W. How do we find our healing and not pass this down to our children? Who wants to take this one? Go ahead, Devi.
Well, I know, one, recognizing that it exists. Something that I'm really striving for in my parenthood is to be honest at all times with my child in the capacity of what they're able to understand at that age. I want to be fully transparent about myself, about my life. I want to be able to apologize to my child, no matter their age, when I get it wrong, and really be able to extend to them the healing and the humanity that we weren't taught historically to extend to our children. You know, this idea of do what I say and not what I do, or feeling like you had to beat your children or speak to them in a certain way because life was already hard. My son obviously will have structure. I'm a highly detailed person that thrives on structure, but I celebrate him with joy. When every time I pick him up, I celebrate. I say, welcome back. I'm so happy to see you. You know, I really greet him with the enthusiasm that I want him to feel for himself. And one of the rituals that I do with him, I do really highly descriptive and affirmations with him every night. And I try to be very specific about what I see in him and what spirit leads me to want him to manifest in his own life. And so one of the first things that I say to him, I get real intense with it, so I won't go all the way, but I want to share a few words of what I say. I like to express to him that mommy loves you, daddy loves you, God loves you, and you love you. You are filled with acceptance and love for yourself. You are filled with joy and enthusiasm for your life. And I try to, you know, sometimes I have a toddler, so you have to get animated like it's story time. So you might be like, you are filled with joy, you know, just to get him to stay engaged. You know, I speak to him about all of his possibilities every single night. And that is one of the ways that I want to break generational trauma in my family. Life is challenging enough, so I want to give him the tools to navigate that challenge without also inviting him to add more suffering into his life. So we talk a lot about the idea of wholeness, the idea of joy, of being limitless, of being pure potentiality. That is the energy that I speak into his life, and that is one of the methods that having a toddler I'm able to utilize right now.
I resonate with that so much, and I actually do the same exact thing with my 2-year-old and daughter. We create a whole praise moment out of it, and it's actually, I also want to touch on the aspect of honesty. I don't shy away from showing her my deeply depressed moments, and I never shy away from showing her my deeply anxious moments. And now it's funny to see her deal with her tantrums in the same way I deal with my depressed and anxious moments, and seeing her, mommy, I need to take a breath. And seeing her do that, it's just like, oh, not only affirming that I'm doing a good job as a mother, which is always in the back of your mind, but also affirming that, you know, my lineage is going to be taken care of because I'm doing the very hard work now. I don't know if we have space for one more question. I hope we do. One more question. Yay. How can we break, Martha says, how can we break the cycle of generational trauma? Briefly, who wants to touch on this? I think we already touched on this mostly in the conversation, but just some quick gems to drop here.
Gloria, I think just facing it, right? Just acknowledging it and acknowledging that this is something that needs to happen, not just for you, but the 7 generations before and the 7 generations after. It's allowing, again, yourself like that compassion, that self-love, and that you don't need anyone's permission to heal, right? That you are worthy of healing yourself.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rosales Meza. I think we lost Gloria again, but before we drop off, can you guys just please repeat to us what your Instagram handles are? You guys can follow me at melaniesantos.co on Instagram. Same as my name, .co. That's also my website. Devi?
I'm at Devi Brown, DEVI Brown, at Devi Brown on social handles, and my website is debibrown.com.
Doctor?
And I'm on Instagram at Dr.Rosales Meza, and also on Facebook at Dr. Rosales Meza, and at www.drrosalesmeza.com.
And in case Gloria doesn't get back on, her Instagram handle is Nalgona Positivity Pride. I think we joined back. I was just telling them what your Instagram handle is, Gloria, if you want to repeat it yourself or share where they can find you.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay. It's Nalgona Positivity Pride. I know it's a mouthful.
Thank you all so deeply for being here, for talking about this very necessary topic. Thank you guys all in the audience who engaged, who asked questions, who listened, who cried, who laughed, who resonated, who didn't, who's going to do the work. This was incredible. Thank you to We Rise. Thank you to the LA County Department of Mental Health. Make sure that you watch for the rest of the We Rise programming that's to come.